Did you guys watch Dynamite?
Yes.
All right. So it's a very, very interesting start. Okay, because it's John Moxley versus Roosh with Jose. What is Jose's role, by the way? Interpreter.
Stand there with a clipboard.
Clipboard. Okay.
Yep.
This is a title match, right? Now, so I watched this show from start to finish. Okay, I was at work, and when I am at work, and I like at 8:00 sharp, it gets slow for me for like about 2 hours. So I watched. I was watching the show like nobody was coming in or anything, and so I have like a good 2 hours where I can concentrate. I can press pause or whatever, stuff and watch this. Right, bro. I'm watching this match. So right off the bat, it's like Moxley gets colored and everything. Bro, Roosh's work is excellent. Very physical, very violent looking. He was bringing it. And, like, I was watching this match and I was like, bro, if this thing had if this had been built up and, like, had a backstory, this was a very, very good match that would have been, like, served so much better if it was built. Bro, Konnan, were you thinking the same thing when you were watching this?
Well, Roosh worked in AAA, so I already know about him, and I had hooked up.
But like you're watching this match, and I'm like, bro, they could have done an angle to build up to this,
right?
Because this was the
bro,
type
and
of
this is what I was thinking. I was thinking, well, obviously it was a good match. I already know Roosh's work.
Right.
Even though the outcome was never in doubt, why did he get a shot after one match?
Right.
Okay, that's number one. And while we're at it, get rid of the rankings. Just can we agree that's been an epic fail?
Right. It means nothing.
Okay, I think they should agree also and get rid of that. Moxley bled 5 minutes in for what reason?
No, like 2 minutes in.
Yeah, for what reason?
Right.
That seems so gratuitous.
Right.
Yeah, had no. And then the worst thing is they did it in the last match, so they bookended blood at the beginning, at the end. Daniel Garcia got blood on the other guy, which he did not need at all. Right. Okay, that match did not need it. It was a technical match. They don't need the smoke and mirrors. It's Bryan Danielson and Daniel Garcia, who looks to be a very proficient technical wrestler, right?
Right.
Okay, so good match. Andrade got involved, which was not necessary. And Jose's there. He's not necessary. Good promo by him and Jericho, okay, at the end. Right. And I will say, I really believe, and I don't know if you'll agree with me on this, I really believe Anna Jay is miscast. She does not come off as a credible heel. She comes off as somebody who's play acting, not good on the mic at all, very hot, very hot. I think they had the girl next door hot that would get over like Sable did back in the day. There was no reason to turn her, especially later on. You're going to see something she does, which looked really green. Right. But at least Tay, the one that's with Sammy, she's got like a bad girl swag about her.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like she's got a roughness and demeanor Anna doesn't. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. So did they cut the promo after the match? Moxley won, obviously, but like you said, I didn't. They didn't need the blood because all the rest of the work was very solid and
it was unnecessary.
Yeah, completely unnecessary. And the only thing that
save it for when you need it. You don't use it so much that now when you use it, people don't give a.
Do you think guys like they used to call it, with old timer stuff like addicted to the blade or whatever? You think guys like John now are just they need that in their head?
Who used to call it addicted to the blade? I've never heard that term.
Like I'd read it in books or the Observer or whatever. Like Flair and Dusty,
some marks like
or Abdullah, So
let me say, I'll answer your question.
Never heard that term.
Ever. Moxley likes to bleed.
Yeah, well that's what I mean. Yeah.
And he has carte blanche because he's getting paid $5 million a year, whatever. He thinks he has to
Moxley,
bleed.
It's not necessary, dude.
Right.
You're mega over. You're the champion. You had a physical match. You knew who Rush is. I know and it was going to be a physical match, which is what you like.
Right.
Not necessary.
And I'll say this: Roosh, what do you call him? Rush or Roosh?
Roosh.
He looked tougher. His work looked like he was the tougher guy.
Right.
Like he looked like he was like like when you're up against like a Mexican fighter boxer and he's just brilliant. That's what this guy works like. And I was like, damn, I was like, bro, they should be using this guy. because his strikes, his viciousness, bro. It's like it's a welcome addition to the show that has a lot of phony looking on it, right? So, but afterwards, Jericho cut a good promo. Like you said, Anna Jay, she goes, "I'll choke you out. I'll choke you out. I'll choke." Like just completely ridiculous. But here's my like. You make a good point, bro. Why is she not just with Jungle Boy?
Right.
They're dating in real life.
Right.
Well, it's a real thing. Like
they
so
look great together.
Yeah.
This is so out of place. Like Jungle Boy, like you're watching this, you go like,
they're giving you
win Jungle Boy, and Jungle Boy's in an angle with Sammy and Tay Conte.
Right. They're giving you something for free. Take advantage of it.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Like when I saw Kevin was, like talking to Scarlett, I was like, okay, this is great. They're already making this easy for me. I already kind of thought that they look great together, and they do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I wouldn't separate them.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's
a head scratcher. Yeah.
But basically, Jericho challenges Moxley for the title, and he says, "Okay, fine." And then they had a, Okay. So all right. So now we go backstage to Dante Martin, and like we always talk like this is, bro. We're critical of this stuff, but like we're right. Dante Martin has a backstage promo, and like, bro, every time they do an interview segment with somebody, all they do is talk about the match they have coming up. Like, I don't know anything. Like, there's no character development, no nothing. But Dante Martin said Ty Conti would accompany Sammy for his match later, so he had his own backup, and he introduced Sky Blue. Did you see what she was wearing?
Well, forget what she was wearing, bro. She looked like she was 11. And I was like, this is your backup?
I don't know who this is. Are we supposed to know who Sky Blue is?
Yes.
It's like, why would you? Like, okay.
The only reason I know her is because I saw her in Philly when she wrestled on Dark, so I remembered her.
So I've got a lot to say about this next segment.
Well, let me just say this about Dante Martin. That was probably the best promo he ever did because he never says anything.
All right.
Okay. That girl reminds me a lot of like the one that's in SmackDown, that Aaliyah one that looks like a teenager.
Right.
Yeah, I don't.
We'll get to that match because they work. So we'll get there. All right. So next. All right. So Ricky Starks is going to wrestle Danhausen. And bro, let me tell you something. There's back to back, like literally. Okay, Danhausen has personality, but his gimmick is goofy and it's corny and it's ridiculous. Ricky Starks has personality and it's believable. He's a very cocky heel. He's got a lot of good mannerisms, stuff, everything. And bro, they played this vignette painting him as like this pretty boy heel and stuff, everything, and all that. And this was great. Okay, and I'm watching like they introduced Danhausen. They show this Ricky Starks vignette where he's like, like he's all dressed in fashion. He's like, he's like, bro, he's a star, right? He comes out and he beats Danhausen in like 42 seconds. Okay, and I'm like, perfect. This should this is great. Okay, now Ricky, let's build Ricky Starks. You got a vignette. He looks there. All right. So then he says like, I still got some left in the tank. He calls out somebody else. He brings out Hook. All right, Hook comes out, and then here's little skinny Hook who hasn't even said like 2 words in the past like 2 months. Beats Ricky Starks for the title in 2 minutes. Okay, Ricky Starks fist bumps this kid after the match. Right, so they go to commercial break, and they come back, and Hobbs is in the ring with Ricky Starks. Now Ricky Starks, after he's been beat by Hook, okay, cuts this promo about how it's his time. He's tired of waiting. He's tired of it. And out of nowhere, Hobbs clotheslines him and lays him out. And I'm like, bro, this was like 4 weeks of TV crammed into 25 minutes. We're not even 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. We're literally the 15 minutes ago, we saw a vignette that was great character development for this cocky heel character. And now we're trying to turn him babyface like after 15 minutes because bro, this was like I don't know what I have no clue what they're doing here, because now what you have is you have Hobbs' turn on Starks. You have 2 characters that need to be elevated, okay, and now they're going to have to fight each other, and one guy's going to take a step backwards, the other guy's going to take a step forward, and Hobbs and then Starks, after this big thing and the big win over, just got completely buried here. And I was like, well, what did you think the same thing I'm thinking right now?
Well, let me just start from the beginning. I thought that as over as Danhausen is with the fans, as much as time as they give him a lot of TV time. Right. They buried him real quick. And which probably for the best, because as I said, I've never seen Danhausen in a good match.
He doesn't look like he knows how to work.
Leads me to believe then they probably maybe
like he doesn't take turnbuckles good. It just doesn't look athletic at all. Yeah.
So, and the other thing that I was thinking was, wow, you can only imagine what a big thrill must have been for Taz, who came up with this title, and now his son has it. You know, and he's commentating while they're doing it. The crowd loves Hook. I thought this was way too quick to do what they did with Hook and Ricky Starks. I thought he beat him way too quick also. I'm also not a fan of using almost the same finisher 2 matches almost in a row, because that's what Moxley used, kind of. He did a bulldog choke. This guy did some other sort of choke.
The Taz mission.
You know, the Taz mission. I thought Starks cut a great promo. My time is now, you know, and babyface Papa's like, where are they going with this? And I was very surprised. I'm very rarely surprised when what's this guy's name? Hobbs hit him from behind. And I almost feel like they're hot-shotting, almost like they did with Luchasaurus. You know, like they're just trying to get something to get a buzz, you know?
Right.
And so now we're going to see how they get their way out of this. But they did turn him face, you know, and you make a good point. Somebody's got to get, unless Hobbs and Starks are elevated in this feud, it's not a good way for them to be feuding right now.
One guy has to go over this feud. And it's, bro, I'm telling you right
Starks.
Now that they took, it's like they took Starks, who was super hot for the first 5 minutes of this whole thing with Dan.
Mega hot.
And then you're kind of like taking him down a notch. Like, I don't know, bro, he should, like I said, this was 3 weeks of TV. Okay, Hook should have come out. Stark should have done the exact same thing he did last week and say, okay, next week.
I just think they're hot-shotting, Glenn.
Right. They are hot-shotting.
They want to get a buzz. They want to get people talking. They want to, because the ratings have been going down.
Right. Yeah, good point. Good point. I didn't think of that.
But let me ask you this. So I missed when Hobbs turned, but Taz was on commentary, right? So
nobody had a clue. He hit him out of nowhere.
And Taz didn't say yeah, he's a glory hound. That's what he gets, or something. You know, like he didn't explain it.
Because
that's weird.
Nobody there was no way anybody could have had any explanation for why Hobbs did what he did at the time he did it, because it just came completely out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
After he was standing next to him and rubbing his shoulder, hey, then all of a sudden he just clotheslined him. Like, whatever. So we'll find out. But it's like, I don't know. Like I said,
it did pop me. It did pop me because I did not expect that.
Right, me too. But this was weird storytelling, because I'm going like, I was popping for the Ricky Starks vignette 10 minutes before.
Right. You know? But so far the show's been good. It's been good. Way better than usual. Yeah.
Okay, so next is Dante Martin against Sammy Guevara, and bro, people actually, I saw somebody in the comments section, one of the YouTube things, was saying like, I'm being disrespectful calling these girls Kmart divas.
Right.
Okay.
That's what they dress
Sky Blue was I want you to explain it, because I don't want people to get on me. What was she wearing?
I don't really remember.
A black T-shirt and cut off jean shorts.
Right.
That literally looked like if you had $60.
Right.
And that you could go to Target and get that in and put it on.
Like you're going to the beach and that's what you're wearing over your bathing suit.
Yeah, right. Did she forget her
gear? And like you're on TV, here you are, you're a female competitor. You're coming out like there's 900,000 people watching, and they dress the part, because Tay Conti looked pretty hot.
Yeah,
she had white tight like leather jeans on and stuff, and she's.
But you see, I remember what Tay wore because it was cool.
Right. Yeah. Right. This is. Let me tell you. Okay, so this guy Jake Barnett is doing the review of this thing on ProWrestling.net. Yeah. So this is Dante Martin with Sky Blue versus Sammy Guevara with Tay Conti. Let me read the first sentence. Sky wore jean shorts and a T-shirt to the ring, which looked out of place.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. So this was Sammy has excellent personality. He's got a lot of gimmicks he does in between moves where he spins. He very, very good. Bro, it almost looks like out of place on this show, because nobody really ever shows personality on the show. Sammy showed a lot of heel personality. A lot of stuff you can imitate. So it's good stuff, right? Dante Martin did all his basically showed everybody that, hey, I can jump on the top rope and do backflips and stuff, which is how this match was laid out. But basically near the end, Conti tried to distract Dante from the floor, but he ignored her. He went for his double jump moonsault, and Guevara avoided it and landed a double jump cutter of his own, and then followed up with the GTH for the win. After the match, Sami continued to assault Martin. Sky, who just sat there and watched him get beat up for 30 seconds, finally got in the ring when Conti got in her face. Then Anna Jay ran down and hit Blue in the back. They slapped and stomped on her until Ruby Soho ran down with Ortiz and Kingston to clear them for the ring. What'd you think of it?
Well, good match. It's a high flyers match. Sammy's mega talented. So is Dante. Sky has zero personality. And again, like I said, we go back to Anna Jay. When she had to do the run-in, I don't know if it's because of her shoes or what, but she's running gingerly. Take your shoes off, run.
Who you talking about?
Anna Jay.
Right.
When she did the run-in into the ring. Then when she has to stomp, she's stomping, but it looks really fake.
Right.
Yeah, she's green. She's very green, and they're kind of over-pushing her. Yeah.
Right. So Daniel Garcia's interview backstage, he hadn't heard the name Bryan Danielson for a couple months. Garcia had said he'd been in the ring every day while Bryan was gardening with his family. He told Danielson that if he isn't focused, he'll send him back home on vacation, and people call him the best technical sports entertainer in the world.
Okay, so here's my problem. Almost all the promos that they did on the show, because I liked the show, I really did. But all those almost all the promos suffer from the same thing. They're whack. And number two, if a promo doesn't get you interested in the match, you didn't do your job.
Right.
What did he say that would make you be interested in that match?
Nothing.
I'm gonna send you home to your family to on vacation, and really, that's it.
Right.
Wow, I really got to see this match.
Yeah, it's just too generic when they get backstage for these 45-second to minute promos.
Right, you can't make up an issue, bro. You can't make up an issue.
Right.
You can't make a offhanded remark about his wife. She's got a nice or whatever.
Right.
He's like, don't talk about my wife like that. Why not? Everybody else does. Hey, son, something.
Right.
Anything.
How easy was that to think of just now? Let's make it personal, right? Because that's a personal issue.
Something that would actually happen.
Right.
Bro, that's how they used to. When you look back at comedies in the 50s and I was reading the other day, Leave It to Beaver, right? I was just, because, Tony Dow passed away. So I was reading this thing, how they made Leave It to Beaver and all that. And one of the things that they said was, it wasn't a situational comedy where we said, hey, said character has to say this. We just used stuff from everyday life. Like Jerry, like the Beaver and Wally Cleaver. I think that was his brother's name. What was his brother's name?
Yeah, Wally.
They actually picked up stories from their own families. There was I was reading this thing that one of their sons got a haircut once and it was all so he tried to hide it with a hat, So they actually used that as a storyline for Leave It to Beaver,
Right.
So I'm just saying, bro, just use actual that would really happen and insert it. Don't just, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so so this is my favorite part of the show coming up. Well, no, the second favorite. Well, this was not my favorite, but this was entertaining, I thought. Sanjay Dutt and Jay Lethal talk trash about the best friends with Sat and Singh. The best friends have these goofy outfits, tie-dye. They look ridiculous. And they were talking. It's funny because they were talking about them, and they go, "Well, hey, we're 6 feet away from you. You can't hear us."
We're the guys that, and they bury their cheesiness. We're the three guys in the tie dye. How could you miss us?
They bury themselves.
I'm like, what's with the Dudley Brothers revival?
I don't know.
It looks so Mayor McCheese.
But it ended up because it's comedy, and Sanjay cut a pretty funny promo, basically.
Sanjay was great here, bro. He made this better than it had to be.
He's just like, wait a second, did I just? And he was kind of like.
Yeah, why did you stop me?
Why did you stop me? I don't want to wrestle.
Yeah, right. Sanjay gets it. He probably made that up right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah, he made that entertaining. But the funniest thing is they challenged them. Okay, and instead of on that out, these guys get each other's face, maybe had a pull apart, the babyfaces just walked away.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was aware the heels came out on top in that exchange, period. Okay, so next, Tony Schiavone brings out Jungle Boy for an interview. Luchasaurus is out there with him. Schiavone asked him what was on his mind, and Jungle Boy finally showed the most personality he's ever shown. Screamed that Christian Cage was the biggest he's ever met in his entire life. He said he's talked all kinds of about his entire family. He's the most relevant he's ever been in his career. Jungle Boy said Christian is supposedly upset with him over eliminating him from some stupid battle royal and costing him a bonus, which didn't make much sense. He said the real reason is that he's strapped for cash because his wife divorced his. Oh. Bro, this was excellent because it's like, finally, like Jungle Boy has been so boring on the mic that you're like, okay, this kind of like acts like seems like real because this is the first time he's acting like a real wrestler would actually act. Did you get that out of this when you were
right, bro? This is what I was thinking. And we've buried this guy worse than the Earth's crust for 3 years. And he deserved it. And it only took him 3 years to get a good promo, but he did one. This was a very good promo.
Right. So he continued and said the Christian is just another evil loser from the movies with the turtleneck and a small... and that explains the wife. Okay, now here's where it gets a little off base for me. He then addressed Luchasaurus and said he was just protecting Christian for him because no one was going to get a hold of him before he did,
stupid.
And maintain their best friends, right?
That's stupid premise.
Jungle Boy then started talking about digging his own father's grave when Christian appeared next to a backstage monitor. He said he draped a leather jacket over Jungle Boy after he gave him the one-man concerto, but he could stop worrying about his departed father because the next thing he'll drape over him is a body bag. He said Jungle Boy had told him all of his secrets, and now he'd prey on his weakness. Bro, this angle would just be better if Luchasaurus was still with Christian.
Right.
It's like I don't know why they switch. It's like now you have two baby faces and you got one heel guy. It's like it's a weird deal, bro. I don't know why they did this. Bro. This was very, very, very good. I would suggest that anybody that didn't watch the show go watch this because you'd be shocked at Jungle Boy's promo based on what you've seen previously, what he's did. But this is very good storytelling, I thought. Okay, now it gets and then it started getting a little goofy here, right? Because, like you said, I've liked the show up to this point. That they've had a lot of entertaining stuff from me, right?
Right.
So the Young Bucks backstage are doing the thing with who's the guy that takes the videos?
Brandon
Cutler, right? And they're arguing with him. Hangman Page shows up and he started to wish him a happy birthday.
Was he drinking? No. Okay.
And they were interrupted by the Dark Order acting like a bunch of goofs, and the Bucks walked away and left Hangman with them before finishing the conversation. Then they told Brandon Cutler to stop filming, and he said it was awkward. This was just
yeah,
bro. They do these. Bro, the Young Bucks are not good in these backstage segments. They're maybe they're trying to do like being the elite type funny stuff. But this was awkward coming out of what we just saw. We saw a pretty serious angle. And then we went to kind of like goofy comedy here, So what'd you think of that?
Well, obviously they're trying to talk to this guy Hangman. I don't know if they're trying to get together with him for the trios title or they're going to do that with Adam Cole. But it's some sort of storyline progression. That's really it. It really wasn't anything major. All
right. So next, this is weird because Swerve Strickland and Keith Lee have just won the tag titles. Okay, so they're the tag team champion. So their first angle coming out of this is Keith Lee's been barred from ringside, and Swerve Strickland has to wrestle Tony Nese and Mark Sterling in a handicap match, based on the angle they've been doing where Mark Sterling's trying to get a petition signed to get Swerve Strickland kicked out. So basically, they do this match, and they did a video beforehand talking about Josh Woods in Ring of Honor. I don't know who Josh. Do you know who Josh Woods is?
I've seen him, but I don't really know him.
No clue who he is, right?
He was in NXT.
So he was in NXT. All right. So they do the match. Of course, Swerve beats these two guys. I don't even know why Tony Nese and Mark Sterling are together. That's kind of like I don't think that's ever been explained to me. At least I've missed it. So then after the match, they go backstage and Keith Lee's knocked out cold, lying on his face. And Josh Woods is standing over him, holding. Well, what title is that he has? The Ring of Honor. He's got some belt with him.
Yeah,
what belt is that?
It's some Ring of Honor belt. I honestly don't know.
So, and then in the ring, Tony Nese clobbers Swerve after the match, and then he picks up the title. It's like, bro, you can't sit there and tell me that like Swerve Strickland and Keith Lee just won the tag team titles, and their first angle is going to be against Tony Nese and Josh Woods. Like, come on.
Woods held the Pure title, but he lost it to Wheeler Yuta at that pay-per-view. So I have no idea what belt he had, unless they did an angle where he stole the belt and none of us have seen it or something like that.
What do you think is Konnan?
I thought the same thing. Why, if they're tag team champions, why is it going a handicap match with unnecessary premise? Oh, well, I'm trying to sign a petition to get him thrown out of the company. Where would that happen? Tony Nese and Sterling have zero chemistry together. They seem like another team that was just thrown together.
Right.
Sterling really didn't do anything to the end. I mean, there was no real hope spot with him, no real shine spot, no spot where, he's begging off. Like, they really didn't use him to his full potential. It's almost like last week when they put the cake in his face and he never sold it. He didn't go overboard and, oh, my God, he just stood there while the guy took the frosting off his face. It's like, come on, dude. I thought this was not good at all.
Right. Yeah, like I said, this was a good – this was a 30-minute window of this show where we're just kind of like they were doing some good stuff before this, and then like we had back to back. We had some weird stuff. So we go to Mount. This is weird too. We go to Malachi Black, where he's kind of promo about Miro and said he would place him on the throne rather than have him worship it. And it's pretty well done. They were showing there's a vignette. So
well, he's kind of inviting him to the group, isn't he?
Well, so Brody King. He's kind of So Brody King.
That would be a hell of a team.
So they show Brody. No, so Brody King beat Darby clean, right?
Right.
After he attacked him at an autograph signing.
Yeah.
Okay. Then he attacked him at another Comic-Con, and they showed that after he beat them. And then Brody King is challenging him to a coffin match. And like this is kind of like where's like what like what's going on? Like why is the heel get? It's like the heel just beat the guy clean. It's like okay, your next angle we need to elevate you on the card. But now he's going to wrestle Darby in a coffin match, and I guess
because they got to get Darby's victory back.
Yeah. Which is like, but the booking of this doesn't really make it's kind of weird the way they did this. It's like the heel.
That's a running theme with Tony. A lot of stuff. Yeah.
The heel. It's like Darby should challenge. After he got attacked, Darby should have made this challenge, not Brody King. Right. So that was weird. All right. So next. All right. So we gotta make a comment because one thing we've been critical of is us giving us a bunch of Japanese female wrestlers. We have no clue who they are. Right. So they showed a match. I guess was on Dark where Miyu Yamashita beat Thunder Rosa 2 weeks ago. Last week, Thunder Rosa said, "You beat me, so I'm going to give you a title shot." And here they are. And like in the middle of this, Kenny Omega has been on Twitter defending the Japanese wrestlers, the Japanese girls, saying they're being disrespected and everything. But the thing is, like, dude, we don't know anything about these girls. Okay, it's like I understand that you are friends with them, you promoted them, you brought them in. You want to introduce them to us, but like you haven't done a very good job of introducing them because we still don't know who these people are. But you're kind of being kind of militant against the critics that are kind of like saying like, hey, we're not so much disrespecting these girls. Like, bro, you're just trying to tell us that we should know more about them when we don't, right? So we get this Miyu Yamashita girl, who I guess is supposed to be, I mean, they put her over Thunder Rosa. Bro, her and Thunder Rosa go 10 minutes. This thing was not good at all. And I'm like watching, like, like this girl. I'm like, okay, this is supposed to be this great Japanese girl wrestler and stuff. And like, I was not impressed. There were a lot of missed spots. There was a lot of miscommunication and whatever. But basically, Thunder Rosa went over in 10 minutes, and that was it. That was the angle, and then we're done. What did you think of this?
The same thing you did, because I had read the day before something about Omega putting this girl over and saying everybody was ignorant because they didn't know she was. And I was thinking, Kenny, you got to understand, people don't know who this chick is, and you guys have done nothing to help us. So you got to meet us halfway. You can't tell people, hey, you're ignorant, when you're not even explaining to us who she is. There's no video package. You have a 2-hour show to give us a video package on her, and you haven't done that, okay? And so, but I'm going to take your word for it because you're Kenny Omega. And I didn't, she looked fundamentally okay, but she wasn't great. Right. And the fact that they wrestled in Japan, I thought they'd already have, good match worked out, and they didn't. They had no chemistry together. This was not a good match, and you knew Thunder was going to win because she'd already lost to her in Japan.
Right.
So it's like, bro, you guys got to do a better job of putting the. First of all, there's no way. I know you didn't grow up on this, but I did, and maybe you watch tapes later on. But did you ever see the women, the Japanese women from the 90s?
Yeah, yeah.
Bro, none of these girls in America could hold a candle to them. Hakuto and Double Aja Kong and Manami Toyota. And, bro, those girls were incredible.
Right.
You know, they brought it. They really brought it. It was a whole different style of wrestling, you know, just like the old Japanese wrestlers, you know, Tenryu and all those type of guys, you know, just a different type of wrestling. But these girls, I'm sorry, out of all the Japanese girls they've bought in the 3 years, I've not been impressed with not one. Now, there have been some I've been impressed in WWE. Like I thought Io Shirai was good. Asuka without the spaz gimmick is good. You know, there are some good workers, but I haven't seen them in AEW.
Like a lot of the Japanese girls in WWE, the way they work and strike, they look like they can fight for real. These girls don't look like that. Like if it's like they look like their American
counterparts, cosplayers.
Right. They look like if Thunder Rosa's work looked like, okay, if these girls, if something happened in the ring and they got into a shoot, it looked like Thunder Rosa would gouge her eyes out. That's
Thunder Rosa
she's like a mean.
She has like a guy's energy. She's she fights like a guy, you know,
like Latino fire.
Yeah.
This Japanese girl had kind of just like going through the motions, doing the, you know.
Yeah, I was not impressed.
Me neither.
Yeah.
All right. So next we go to the main event. This is very strange. I don't know. You know. So they did. So it's Daniel Garcia versus Bryan Danielson, and Bryan Danielson's been off TV forever. He didn't get like a second of promo time before this match. He just comes out. He's wrestling Daniel Garcia. It's the main event. So Bryan Danielson. The gimmick was for a shoot, I guess, that he was out for 6 weeks because he had a concussion. Okay, we know the guy has concussion issues, right? I don't know why they did this, other than the fact that Bryan Danielson sold this excellently to show what his range and what a great worker he is. But they were telling the story in this match that Bryan Danielson hit his head again and may be having concussion issues. Okay, and the way he was selling was very, very, very good. Okay, and it was just like for a performance, this was very good from Bryan Danielson. He's had concussions before and everything, but from a logic standpoint, okay, from what we know about, if they're trying to tell this is like he's having a shoot head injury again, from what we know, it's like we know this is a performance. Okay, stop the match, right? But they ended up telling the story, and so for a brief moment, we had that thing as like, okay, is this a shoot or is it work? Because the way he did a drop kick off the top rope, he landed on his back, but he landed like he hit his head on the mat, right? And Daniel Garcia then started getting heat on him and gave him a DDT on the floor, and Bryan Danielson got color, okay? Which was the point being there, you're trying to sell the seriousness of it, but for me, that's where you lost the seriousness of it because now it's an angle. Because if this guy's had concussion issues in the past and he's selling the things of a concussion for a shoot, bro, we would stop the match. Okay, is what I was getting out of this, right? But basically, he did the thing where, like, you know, Bryan Danielson finally does a comeback, gets cut off and stuff, everything. But Daniel Garcia in 17 minutes and 15 seconds goes over. And Bryan Danielson's big match coming back, they told this story and put Daniel Garcia over, who's probably been... Bro, Daniel Garcia, I think, has been in more main events than anybody in this company.
Yeah, you said a lot.
And I'm still not like... I'm like, why is this guy still in the main event? So, you know, bro, Konnan, what did you get out of it?
Let me read you a review real quick before Konnan comments, because I want to see what you guys think about this. This is from...
Go ahead and read.
This is from Screen Rant, okay? And the guy says, Screen Rant does
Who's that?
movie reviews.
Well, you gotta, but people gotta have some sort of credibility if you're gonna.
Right. Well, it's a big
site. You're gonna shout them out on the show.
It's a big site.
Screen Rant.
Probably a Mark podcaster. I want to hear the Mark.
No, they do movie reviews and wrestling and all that. It's a pretty big site, but it says the American Dragon sold like he'd been concussed, and the whole thing just felt gross. This was Danielson's first match back since presumably sustaining a concussion during the Anarchy in the Arena fight. To recap, one of the best professional wrestlers in the world who had literal years of his career taken away due to concussion issues missed 2 months with what appeared to be a head injury, and AEW decided to use that as a plot device to further a stale feud between the Jericho Appreciation Society and the Blackpool Combat Club. Given everything that scientists know about how concussions affect brains over time, and with wrestling's incredibly dark history with the injury, it felt misguided, out of touch, and if it got Danielson any sympathy from the audiences, it was for all the wrong reasons. So do you think that this was an offensive way to go about it?
Bro, but Konnan made a good point earlier in the show when we were doing this review. Bro, they're trying to get ratings.
So this is,
and I think that maybe they looked at this as like, hey, this is, but bro, it's like when you're trying to get numbers sometimes. But we worked in WCW, we worked for Vince Russo. It's kind of like all cards are on the table when you're trying to get numbers sometimes. If your numbers are underwhelming,
right? You
try things. You try, and like this is what this came across as to me. A lot of the stuff they did was really good on the show, but they tied in a lot of stuff that kind of like looked kind of like a desperate move.
Well, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question before I answer that, because we haven't even talked about this. What was the rating for yesterday?
Oh, yeah, let's look at it.
Let's see.
It should have beat up.
Let's see if all this hot shotting worked.
6 minutes ago, ProWrestling.net. AEW's Dynamite television show averaged 976,000 viewers, up from 910 last week. So it went up 66,000.
Right, so up about 6%, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Not bad. They went up.
Right,
but they still can't. It's not over 1 million. It's like they said it's better, but it's like I think maybe Daniel Bryan. Bro, let me tell you something. It's like what they need on this show. They need Daniel Bryan back full time. They need Punk back full time. They need MJF back on the show full time.
Yeah, that's a.
There's a lot of guys that aren't on the show that were doing very entertaining television and compelling television that aren't on the show right now. I think they could get over 1 million if they bring those. If MJF comes back and whatever they're doing with him, and when Punk gets back. But it's like Daniel Bryan's.
Adam Cole is out too.
He's out too, but like I don't think he moves. I don't think he moves a needle. But
that's their fault. That guy's a star.
Right, but this was a weird way to bring Bryan Danielson back.
Well, let me just say,
go ahead.
I'm gonna speak on it. It's kind of a snowflake take what the guy's saying. He's right, but I thought it's very bad taste to use that as an angle. Him having a concussion and falling in the ring like that, especially since we know if that actually happened, they'd stop the match.
Stop the match, yeah. Uh-huh.
Right.
So it was very hard for me to get into that. I did not like it.
There was a big,
and it was not necessary.
It was done very well. Brian
it was done very well, but it wasn't necessary.
Right,
but
exactly.
That's besides the point. Impact, intention doesn't negate impact.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I know what the intention was, but the impact to me was just the same. Was not necessary. Just like the bleeding. Why is he bleeding? Not necessary. Right. So those two things were unnecessary. Good match. I understand you need to push young people, and Daniel Garcia's a good-looking kid who can wrestle. He doesn't look like he could lick a stamp. He's very thin, and I think they're pushing him too quick.
Yeah, he's not a big guy.
Yeah, he doesn't, bro.
He's not even big, bro. He's like, bro. Let me tell you something. Per example, he's not even like as big as like Eddie Guerrero.
Like it's very hard for me. It's hard for me. It's hard for me to suspend disbelief, really. With him and what's this other guy's name? Hook.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's been very like I said, I was
good show,
and a lot of stuff to talk about on this show, which is usually not par for the course because a lot of times we just have matches and there's nothing. But
good swerve, the good swerve with Hobbs, the coming out Ricky Starks with that great promo, Jungle Boy with that great promo out of nowhere. They think the Anna Jay turn is big deal, which it isn't. But they're doing a lot of
Right. Yeah. Yeah, this show was busy, but so was I was entertained by it. So
yeah. And I thought Sanjay did a great job. I like Sanjay and Lee.